48-year-old Alex Montreuil was at the Jewish General Hospital last fall for a CT scan, and he alleges he was attacked with a tuna and tomato sandwich. It may sound funny, but it's not, because he suffers violent allergic reaction to salicylates, a substance found naturally in common foods like tomatoes. And his attacker missed a court appearance yesterday. An arrest warrant has been issued, and when she's located, a new court date is going to be set. And until then, we're joined by Elizabeth Goldenberg. She's one of North America's top legal experts on allergy-related cases, and she joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning, Tommy.
It took over 5 months for charges to be laid. Do you think it would have taken this long had Mr. Montreuil been attacked with something else?
I don't think it would have taken that long if the attacker, her name has now been released, which is thankful. We waited 5.5 months for that. Had his attacker chosen a rock to throw at him or picked up a gun and shot it at him, I don't think she would have walked free of consequences for 5.5 months until finally being charged. She has been charged now under its Section 267A of the Criminal Code with the offense of using a weapon to assault a person.
Now, her attacker missed her court appearance yesterday, and then apparently an arrest warrant has been issued. What does this mean? Is she in more trouble now than before?
I would say so, yes. I mean, my understanding, my background is not as a criminal lawyer. I'm an allergy safety and legal expert, but my understanding is that the police will now locate her, and a charge will be laid of failure to appear. The next court date will be set once she's located, and she now has that to answer for. I mean, the best thing you can do in these circumstances is acknowledge your actions and save the police and the courts the inconvenience of this sort of action, failure to appear. I don't know if she's going to plead innocent. There were plenty of witnesses to this attack. If she's going to require a trial, but the sooner you sort of take responsibility for your actions and accept whatever consequences there are, the better.
What do you think would be the maximum punishment for what she did, or what do you think it should be?
I have to look that up. I'm honestly not sure, but I think this can contain jail time, quite frankly. If I am correct, it might be a year. Just think about it from two perspectives. Here we have a woman who knew that Mr. Montreuil has a life-threatening allergy to the salicylates in
Are you sure that she knew about it?
Absolutely. She was behind him. The facts are she was behind him in line at Jewish General Hospital, and he was placing an allergy-aware order, which he had to reiterate a few times because the staff at Jewish General just weren't responsive to his allergy request, that they change their gloves, that they use a fresh knife. We've actually put in a letter to the complaints commissioner there, and that's now been addressed. This won't happen to somebody else. When someone else, the next person, comes into Jewish General and says, I have an allergy, could you please take precautions, it will be handled appropriately. In this case, Mr. Montreuil had to reiterate, raise his voice. His friend chimed in. He said, tomatoes can kill him. This woman was behind them in line becoming
Now, they were
agitated.
speaking in English. Did she understand English?
Yes, because she confronted Mr. Montreuil and his friend afterwards, saying, in Quebec, we speak French, and they had this confrontation. He says, in my opinion, we speak the language of our choice. The friend and he that were sitting at a table at that point, Mr. Montreuil had just taken his food. He was going to speak to the manager at the restaurant after having a bite to eat. She came up to them to argue with them. They shooed her away, and she left. She came up even more agitated, again, aggressing against two men. I can't imagine that as a woman. They got her to leave, and then the next thing, no one saw it coming, this tomato sandwich is launched at him, makes skin contact, causes a serious allergic reaction. He required emergency treatment. Thankfully, he was in the hospital when this happened.
So wait a second. Are you saying that she went to get a tomato sandwich afterwards?
I don't know if she got it, if it was her order, but she had it in her hand to throw at him and to make contact. And to me, it's like making a choice. No one should throw something at another person in anger to begin with. I mean, that was
anything, right?
Assault, right? you wouldn't be happy if someone threw balled-up paper at your head, Tommy. I'm angry at you, and I'm going to throw something at you. That is assault. But in this case, she had a choice. Imagine she had a box of rocks beside her, and on the other side of her, she had a box of grenades. Knowing that this gentleman has a life-threatening allergy, she chose a grenade to throw at him.
Well, that's implying that she knows exactly that it's a life-threatening allergy and all the details of allergies, right?
That's
She's
true.
not necessarily a medical expert
That's true.
it. Right.
I mean, she might, in her defense say, I thought allergies just make people sneeze. But in any event, it's wrong to throw something at a person in anger, not in anger, whatnot. She needs to stand accountable for her actions.
Are there other cases like this where an allergen has been used like a weapon?
Yes, there are lots of cases about it, unfortunately. I have a little bit of a pet peeve because in a lot of cases they'll describe it as bullying. And I consider it an attack. I consider it assault. So I just read about something yesterday where a high school student was deliberately touched. A person put peanut butter crackers, ground them up in his hands, and then ran his hands through this boy's hair. And they called that bullying. I call that assault. And they're using it as an example to stand up for yourself, to inform others. In that case, very interesting what you said before, Tommy, about people understanding allergies. This boy used that attack to motivate himself to begin to inform other people about the seriousness of allergies and to start some bullying support groups. And when he addressed the class that contained his attacker, the attacker apologized to him and said, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. I honestly thought it would make you sneeze. I would never do something like that again, and it was never repeated. My only concern is I really need to look at the definition of bullying. Bullying is one thing. Throwing a food allergen at a person. I heard another case where a boy got off the school bus and a child he'd never had any contact with threw peanuts at his back. That to me isn't quite the same thing as bullying. That's assault.
And what do you think will be the next step? What would you think would be a fair punishment for what happened?
Well, I'd like to see this woman. We can name her now that charges have been laid. I'll leave that up to you if you'd like me to provide her name. I would like to see her pulled into criminal court to set the next date to deal with the warrant that's now out for her arrest as well, which needs to be added to the list of complaints. Mr. Montreuil will follow this through to the end and appear as a witness at whatever trial there is or whatever sentencing there is. He'll give an impact statement. There have been lasting implications for him. This has changed his allergy status. He now takes medication every day that he didn't need before. It was emotionally very draining on him to be attacked in this way. It's very frightening for an allergic person. You can't possibly expect this to happen, plan for it, protect yourself in any way. It shouldn't happen. I mean, she needs to stand accountable, and the court will consider her record, consider any statement she makes, any defense that she lays, and do the appropriate charge. If she has a history of assault, she's going to get a greater sentence than someone.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.